For decades, William James was seen as the perfect husband and father, until historians found a box of hidden letters in Harvard's archives. Dozens of passionate love letters, written by the father of American psychology, to a young woman who was not his wife, while Alice was home raising their children and suffering from illness. He wrote to her, "You are the only one who truly understands my soul. I would risk everything for one moment with you." Tonight, in Part 18, the Forbidden's affair no biography dares to mention, the love letters that were locked away for over 100 years, and how this scandal almost destroyed his reputation, but instead inspired his greatest book about human emotions. Stay until the very end, because what his wife did when she discovered the letters will break your heart. As William James progressed in the development of the principles of psychology and his other major works, his influence as a teacher and thinker grew. He was recognized not only for his original research but also for his ability to communicate complex ideas clearly and practically. His work bridged the gap between experimental psychology and philosophy, demonstrating that the study of the mind could be both rigorous and meaningful for everyday life. This period reflected the full flowering of his intellectual vision. Consciousness remained the central focus of his work. William James continued to emphasize its continuous, dynamic, and adaptive nature. He explored how thought flows, how attention selects what is important, and how memory reconstructs past experience. Emotions and desires, he noted, are integrated into this stream, influencing perception, decision-making, and action. By studying consciousness as a whole, William demonstrated that understanding mental life requires attention to its complexity, fluidity, and interdependence. Habit continued to be a core theme. William observed that repeated behaviors guide thought, influence moral decisions, and shape character over time. He emphasized that the deliberate cultivation of beneficial habits, along with the conscious reduction of harmful ones, is essential for personal development. Habit, he argued, serves as a bridge between psychological observation and ethical action, showing that the study of human behavior has direct implications for living a good and effective life. Emotion was explored with increasing depth. William investigated the physiological, psychological, and practical aspects of emotional experience. He emphasized how emotions guide attention, influence memory, and motivate behavior. By integrating emotion into a study of consciousness, he provided a holistic account of mental life. Emotion, he argued, is not secondary to reason. It is a central component of thought, decision-making, and human experience, essential for understanding behavior and for guiding personal and social development. Attention and memory remained areas of intensive study. William analyzed how attention allows individuals to focus on what is significant, how attention is influenced by habit and prior experience, and how memory actively reconstructs rather than passively records experience. These insights illustrated the adaptive nature of cognitive processes, showing how humans navigate complex environments, solve problems, and make decisions. By combining empirical observation with philosophical analysis, William provided a model for studying the mind that is both scientific and practical. Philosophy continued to guide the interpretation of his work. William engaged with classical and contemporary thinkers to examine questions of knowledge, morality, and the nature of consciousness. Philosophy provided a framework for understanding the broader meaning of his empirical findings and their relevance to human life. By combining philosophical reflection with scientific investigation, he created a method that was both intellectually rigorous and deeply practical. reinforcing the idea that psychology should inform and be informed by broader questions about human existence. Social observation remained essential. Williams studied the effects of culture, education, and social expectations on behavior, thought, and habit formation. He observed how individuals respond to social pressures, authority, and peer influence, noting the interaction between personal disposition, habit, and environment. These insights were crucial for his contributions to applied psychology, education, and ethics, showing that the study of the mind is inseparable from the study of society and culture. Artistic sensitivity continued to enrich his work. Williams' ability to notice subtle expressions, gestures, and tonal nuances allowed him to communicate complex, psychological, and emotional phenomena with clarity and nuance. This sensitivity complemented his experimental and philosophical work, enabling him to describe the human mind in ways that were precise, empathetic, and accessible. His writings became compelling not only to scholars but also to general readers, demonstrating the power of integrating science and art in the study of psychology. Practical application remained central to William James's philosophy. He consistently emphasized that psychological knowledge should guide education, moral development, and personal growth. His pragmatic approach, which evaluates ideas based on both truth and usefulness, reinforced the importance of applying insights to real-life situations. Knowledge, he argued, is most valuable when it helps people understand themselves, make better decisions, and improve their daily lives. By the end of this stage, William James had established a comprehensive approach to psychology that combined empirical research, philosophical reflection, artistic insight, and practical guidance. His work on consciousness, habit, emotion, attention, and social behavior provided a foundation for his most influential publications. These years cemented his reputation as a pioneering thinker, capable of bridging scientific investigation, philosophical reasoning, and practical application, and they prepared him for the lasting influence he would have on psychology, philosophy, and education. Chapter 4 emphasizes William James's role as a mature thinker and teacher. It highlights his integration of consciousness, habit, emotion, attention, social observation, philosophical reflection, and practical guidance. These achievements set the stage for his major contributions and illustrate the holistic nature of his approach to understanding and improving human life. By this stage in his career, William James had fully established himself as a leading figure in psychology and philosophy. His research, writing, and teaching demonstrated a unique integration of scientific study, philosophical reflection, and practical application. He was now focused on consolidating his ideas in the principles of psychology and related writings, aiming to provide a comprehensive understanding of the human mind that could be applied in education, ethics, and everyday life. Consciousness continued to be at the center of his studies. William James emphasized its dynamic and continuous nature, noting that thoughts, feelings, and perceptions form a flowing stream rather than isolated events. He explored how attention selects certain aspects of experience, how memory reconstructs past events, and how emotion interacts with cognition. This holistic view of consciousness highlighted the adaptive and integrative nature of the mind. By examining consciousness in depth, William provided a foundation for modern psychology and cognitive science, offering insights into perception, learning, and human behavior. Habit remained a key focus of his research. William studied the ways in which repeated behaviors shape character, influence decision-making, and guide moral development. He stressed that conscious effort and reflection are essential for forming positive habits and eliminating negative ones. Habit, he argued, serves as a bridge between psychological understanding and ethical action. By applying insights into habit formation, he provided practical guidance for personal growth, education, and moral improvement, demonstrating the value of psychology in everyday life. Emotion was another major area of study. William James explored the connection between feelings and thought, demonstrating how emotions influence attention, perception, memory, and behavior. He considered both physiological and psychological aspects of emotion, showing that emotional experiences are central to human consciousness. By integrating emotion with cognition, he developed a holistic understanding of the mind, emphasizing that emotional and rational processes are inseparable and essential for decision-making, moral reasoning, and personal development. Attention and memory were examined systematically. William analyzed how selective attention allows individuals to focus on relevant information while filtering out distractions. He studied how past experiences, habits, and emotional states shape attention and memory, demonstrating that memory is an active and reconstructive process. These insights provided practical implications for education, learning strategies, and problem solving. By combining empirical research with philosophical reflection, he created a comprehensive approach to understanding cognition and guiding human behavior. Philosophy continued to provide a framework for interpreting his findings. William drew upon both classical and contemporary thinkers to explore questions about knowledge, consciousness, and ethics. Philosophy allowed him to contextualize empirical findings, consider their broader implications, and connect them to larger questions about human life and morality. By integrating philosophical reflection with experimental study, he ensured that his work was intellectually rigorous while remaining relevant to practical concerns. Social observation remained an essential element of his research. William studied how cultural norms, education, and social expectations influence thought, habit, and behavior. He examined how individuals respond to authority, peer pressure, and social conventions. These observations reinforced his understanding of human behavior as the result of complex interactions between personal disposition, habit, and environmental context. Such insights informed his contributions to education, ethics, and applied psychology, emphasizing the social dimension of mental life. Artistic sensitivity continued to enhance his work. William's keen perception of subtle gestures, expressions, and tonal variations enabled him to communicate complex ideas about consciousness, emotion, and behavior with clarity and depth. This sensitivity complemented his empirical research and philosophical analysis, making his writings not only scientifically accurate but also engaging and accessible to a wider audience. By integrating artistic insight with rigorous study, he enriched both the presentation and understanding of psychological concepts. Practical application remained central to William James's philosophy. He emphasized that psychological knowledge should be used to improve education, guide personal development, and promote ethical living. His pragmatic approach evaluated ideas by their truth and usefulness, reinforcing the importance of applying insights to real-world situations. Knowledge, he argued, is most valuable when it helps individuals make better decisions, understand themselves, and improve their lives and communities. By the end of this stage, William James had consolidated a holistic framework for studying the mind. His work integrated consciousness, habit, emotion, attention, social observation, philosophical reflection, and practical application. These achievements provided the foundation for the principles of psychology and other major writings, establishing him as a pioneering figure whose influence would extend across psychology, philosophy, and education for generations. Chapter 4 highlights William James's mature intellectual approach, emphasizing his integration of scientific study, philosophy, artistic sensitivity, and practical application. It shows how his work on consciousness, habit, emotion, attention, and social behavior created a comprehensive understanding of the human mind and prepared the way for his lasting contributions to psychology, philosophy, and education. And when the truth about the affair finally came out, William James did something no one expected. He took all the pain, guilt, and passion and poured it into the book that made atheists pray and believers love science. In Part 19, you'll finally see the birth of the varieties of religious experience, the book that is still healing millions of broken hearts today. Part 19 tomorrow, 8 p.m. sharp. Subscribe plus bell on. The story is about to get beautiful.